We've been here at Barfield for 6 years, but we've been in business for over 35 years. We're a beef cattle enterprise. We're certified organic, EU and grasslands, so a natural pasture-fed operation. And we breed and finish cattle. We're a multi-generational farming family, so we've really got a responsibility for the future generations. So it's really important for us to be able to ensure that we are farming in a sustainable manner, that we're looking after our environment in a sustainable manner for that long-term future for our children and our grandchildren. As part of being a member of the Barfield Road Producer Group, we applied for a Landcare Farming grant, and that allowed us to do some work with Accounting for Nature.
Accounting for Nature is a not-for-profit organisation who provides a framework to build and certify environmental accounts. The Barfield station is located in Banana in Central Queensland. They have been a part of a big capacity building project that we ran with Landcare over the past 3 years, which really revolved around training landholders in what environmental accounting is and how they can utilise it on their property. Natural capital accounting is basically quantifying your natural capital assets. So it's looking at two parts of it. So one is, what assets do I have and what is the condition of those assets? And that is typically called environmental condition accounting or measuring the state of nature. There's another part where you also look at the monetary or financial values of those assets, and those two combine is what forms natural capital accounting.
Grazing cattle and natural capital go hand in hand. So our environment really requires that impact of livestock for us to get a really good environmental benefit. So for us, we like to have our cattle come in and have that impact on the environment, then we spell that country. So it's about having cattle come in, do their job, they're grazing the grass, they're leaving their manure and stuff on the soils as well, then they're being moved, and then that environment has a chance to recover. Here on Barfield, we're doing a level 3 soil Landcare method here, and we also have a project registered with the Emissions Reduction Fund, which is a soil carbon project. So a lot of this work we're doing is around soil sampling and understanding the different components of those soil, like our carbon levels and a multitude of indicators, and then we're looking at ways of how we can make improvements on those indicators over time. Some of the other ways that we're improving our natural capital is we're currently involved in a project linking remnant vegetation via tree corridors, and that's going to have a lot of benefits for not only for improving our environment, because trees are a really important part of creating microbial activity and diversity in the system. They'll also provide shade for our animals. We're getting hotter and drier all the time, so we've got to ensure that for the future we've got shaded areas for our cattle as well. Another really good way for us to get improvement with our natural capital is the introduction of legumes. We're using a couple of different legumes here, one of them being Leucaena, and I think Leucaena is probably one of the most sustainable legumes available to us. It actually reduces the methane emissions on the cattle that are grazing it. It's a very deep-rooted plant, so it helps with soil moisture retention, preventing erosion. And I mean, that's really important for us here because we're part of the reef catchment. So we've got to stop anything leaving our property and having the chance to end up on the Great Barrier Reef. The co-benefit is they're a really good feed source for our cattle as well. So high protein, quite drought resilient, which is really important for us because we're often in quite hot, dry climate here.
Environmental accounting is really starting to become a buzzword in Australia and internationally. And we've seen studies coming out showing that consumers and stakeholders are really concerned about the environment in Australia. So by being able to measure the environmental condition in your area and being able to communicate that potentially to consumers or others who are interested, you can secure your market spaces.
I think market opportunities for the future around natural capital accreditation, it will be something that we have to do. So the drivers are there telling us already 70% of Australia's product is exported. So we've got international drivers already telling us that we have to be addressing this issue, particularly into countries like the EU, Canada. They're very, very strong around what's happening in the environment and with animal welfare as well. And we can only do that by having a metric, something that's globally recognised to back up what we're saying we're doing. So I think it's going to be critical going forward for market access.
There's lots of other benefits outside of market access from environmental condition accounting. One of those is getting a better understanding of the state of the environment on your property. And knowing that and improving the state of the environment can increase your resilience against change. We are seeing more extreme weather occurring more frequently in Australia, and therefore having a good environmental condition can really help improve your resilience when change is happening.
So some of the challenges with the accounting for nature process is obviously climate variability, because it can really impact on our baseline measurements. So for instance, this year particularly was above average for rain, which means that our baseline will be a little bit skewed to what it would be in a normal season. Here on Barfield we've got 2 automated weather stations, which is giving us daily information on things like rainfall, wind speed, temperature, ground soil moisture. So those sorts of technologies are quite useful for us. For any producers that are thinking about undertaking an accreditation process, I would really support you and urge you to have a go at that. I mean, it's going to be vital not only for making improvements within your business, it's going to be important going forward for us looking after the environment and our natural capital. Beef producers manage over 50% of Australia's land mass, so we've got a huge responsibility to make sure that we're doing that job well. And I think the accreditation process will help us to upskill and learn how we can do that better, but then it will also give us something solid to show that to the global population really what Australia is doing in that space.